guys, it is about 11 o'clock. It's Sunday the 23rd of June, so I thought today I would spend a little bit of time with you guys and work on my steam heart project. So I've been working on her for the last couple of days really. So I've been working on this is about a page finish here with these mechanical wings. So I've been predominantly working in this section. Oh, here comes Daisy. Here she is. Hi Daisy. So I've been predominantly working in there, but with this being incredibly confetti heavy as far as section goes, I thought I'd just come up here and do a bit of the dark in her hair while we chat. So there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about today. So I thought, right, okay then, what better way than a stitch with me. Please bear with me, I am nasally. I do have a cold. I've got quite bad head congestion and nasal congestion. So if I sound a little bit nasally, that is the reason why. It's fully self-inflicted. I will explain why a little bit later on in the video, but I just wanted to sort of give you an update before I zoom in as to where I am. So I'm hoping to obviously get this page finished by the end of the month, so I've got something decent to show you in terms of progress. But I will yeah, alter the position and I'll catch it with you soon. See you in a minute. There we go, we're just at the top of the roll, so excuse all of this. I didn't really want to have to reposition the roll because I do want to come back to this confetti heavy area that I've told you on the side. But for those of you who are not overly familiar with this lovely lady I'm working on, she is obviously a Heaven and Earth design. It's Chris Ortega's steam heart piece, and I'm stitching her 1/1 on 25 count Lagana. So just standard DMC, and I'm just working in 310 at the moment, which is obviously DMC black. Sorry, just picking up Daisy's hair. I think there's more doggy DNA in here than there is actually my DNA. I think we've got a fair bit of Poppy at the start of this, and we'll certainly have a fair bit of Daisy as we conclude, which, you know, I'd like to at some point. I don't know when, but anyway, I hope the view's okay for you. I hope you can see okay. I know that Stitch With Me's tend not to be particularly about the stitching, it's more about the conversation, isn't it? So I just thought I'd do a bit of a life update with you and share obviously the caravan story. I've alluded to that in a couple of uploads that I've done, and interestingly on my last upload, which was my monthly update for, where are we, May, yes, there was a lady who asked a question. I do need to respond to those comments on there about caravans, and she'd be interested in hearing the story because she's about to purchase a caravan, a static, and obviously I've had a little bit of drama in and around this with the site that I'm on. So just to put this into a bit of context, I did mention earlier on in the year, it was around February time, that I was thinking of selling up. To be honest, I hadn't got there that much last year. I certainly don't get over there that much at the winter. It's not very warm over there in the winter, let's just say, sort of trying to keep yourself warm in a metal hut, which is essentially what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're pretty well insulated, but are they fit for British winters, you know, in terms of, I guess, warmth, you know, insulation? Yeah, they're probably not, in all fairness. Sorry, I'm just going to sniff. How rude. I will get a tissue in a moment if I need to. So they're not really, and you know, you can just about get by, but in terms of gas and electric, the gas is quite pricey, so it does cost a lot to heat it. The charging on my site, £60 per 30 kilogram cylinder, so it's quite, I think it's quite expensive. And if you're going through a few of those, you know, you could quite easily go through one a week if you were there and you had your heating on all of the time, which, to be fair, you probably need to. It does work out quite pricey in the winter, so I hadn't been going over very much. At the times I went over in February, I'd get there and the electrics were off, and it would be like a drama getting everything on, and you know, you just, I don't know, I just want to turn up somewhere and have a chill out time, and wasn't proven to do that. So I did make the decision back in February to sell the van. So as you remember, back late February, it'd be about the 23rd, because I've got photographic evidence of this, I put some for sale signs in the window and received a reasonable amount of interest in text and phone calls over a period of a couple of months from people who were interested in knowing the price of the van, how many bedrooms it had, etc., how old it was, you know, the usual kind of questions. And then in early May, I had a couple of weeks off. Didn't really head over there, but I did get a phone call from a chap who was interested in the van and sort of reached out and said, "Oh, are we looking? We've had a look on site. We've seen yours. How much is it?" Told him the price. Was like, "Oh, okay, that seems quite reasonable. Are you coming over? Because I'd like to see it." So I set a time when I would head over, which was the weekend. And yeah, because I was working that week, and he seemed quite happy with that. And then I messaged him on the Friday evening before I was due to go across on the Saturday to show him round and his wife. And the response I got was, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise it was still for sale. All of the for sale signs are covered up. I assumed you'd sold it. I've looked on the site." And I'm like, oh God, like, what does he mean my for sale signs are covered up? And I messaged one of the chaps who I know on the van and just said, "Look, have you seen what they've done? I mean, what is it? What's happened?" And this chap said, "Oh, it's funny you should say that." He said, "I've not been well. I've been in my van for about a week with a really bad chest infection." He said, "But I have been told by somebody on site that they've covered your for sale signs with polythene bags." And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like, firstly, they don't have any right to touch my van. They've not made any contact with me to ask me to take the for sale signs down. Sorry, I'm just marking off my stitches here. They've not asked me to take the for sale signs down. They haven't texted me, called me, written to me, emailed me or anything. So at this point, I'm absolutely besides myself. I'm like genuinely really, really upset about this because, you know, I don't really know what they've done to the van. So I have a very, very sleepless night that night, stressing. Not only had I convinced myself during that week that I'd sold it and there was somebody who was really, really interested in it, but also then they've gone on and literally vandalised my van. And the thing with statics, and this is what this lady was saying, so I am actually on a site and it's a big organisation, it's a national group or chain that I'm part of, and I don't know whether or not the smaller sites are any better, to be honest. I know the lady who passed a comment said she wasn't going on one of the big national sites, she was going on a more local site. What I will say to you is make sure you have a solicitor look over your paperwork, because irrespective of where you site it, you buy the van, so you invest a lot of money in the van. So I took out a loan to pay for mine, which I'm still paying off. I own my van, but technically I have no rights to the van, really, because it's on a site. And I don't think it really matters whether it's a big site or a small site. Yes, the small site might be a little more understanding, but then there's regulatory bodies that they need to be covered by as well. So check that they're covered by all of the regulatory bodies. My site is, but even so, at any point they can tell you they're moving you, they can disconnect you, you know, they can be really, really awkward, and then you can't use your van. It's sitting on wherever they tell you it's going, and technically you have no rights to this really high value item. It's the most bizarre thing ever. It really is. It's the most bizarre situation that I found myself in. So anyway, the next day, having had pretty much a very sleepless night, I rang customer services at this particular company that I'm with and just explained what they'd done. They told me that actually you shouldn't really put for sale signs up in windows. I had looked on some forum sites actually the night before, and you know, it depends on your local site as to whether or not they'll allow for sale signs or not, and a lot of the bigger chains don't let you do it. So I then rang a solicitor and explained the situation to her and said, look, basically this is what they've done. Do I have rights? Are they allowed to do what they've done? And she told me that actually they don't. If they haven't contacted me prior to tell me about what they're planning on doing and giving me an option to take the for sale signs down, then I have, you know, they're not allowed to touch the van. So this Saturday, myself and my parents went across, no, it was actually the Friday, went across to the van to, you know, see what damage had been done. I mean, I'm thinking polythene bags, it's probably not going to be, you know, residual damage, but it depends what they've adhered the polythene bags to and how big they are and, you know, what it looks like. So I'm going to put some pictures in for you so you can get a general feel about what it looks like. And it's not so much the polythene bags, it's the fact that they've sellotaped it to the window. Now, if any of you know what sellotape does to glass when you stick it on, it's terrible. It leaves sticky residue everywhere. It's an absolute nightmare to get it off. So I took these photographs and then we went marching into the office to speak to the manager of the site and had a conversation with him about what had been done. They told me that the reason they'd done what they did was because actually I shouldn't have had for sale signs up. They didn't really have a problem with them because I then explained to them, but they've been there for 11 weeks. My van's in a really prominent position. It's literally as you drive in. It's on one of the best pitches. You cannot miss my van when you drive into the site. So they've been driving by my van every day for 11 weeks and nobody's thought to contact me to tell me to take those for sale signs down. They then came up with this story that actually the big regional manager had been across, seen the for sale signs and made them cover them up. I don't believe that's the case at all. What I think is that the people who are interested in my van have gone on site, had a look at a couple of vans, told the salesperson that they were interested in mine and they were more likely to buy mine than one of theirs, at which point the salesperson, who I know who it is and it wouldn't surprise me in the least, has then taken, you know, offence to that because she's going to lose a sale, and has then gone and put polythene bags all over the windows, all over the for sale signs. So that's what I think has happened. It's just very odd that these people were very interested in my van and then all of a sudden the for sale signs are covered. Suffice to say, I have no idea what's happened to this couple. You know, following on that exchange, they said they'd looked on site. I'm assuming they'd bought something there. I've not seen them again, so who knows. But the site definitely lost that sale for me. Yeah, so obviously I then told them, right, well, you need to come and repair this because, you know, there's sellotape all over my windows. It's an absolute disgrace. So they came across, and one of the maintenance guys then tried to take everything down and all the sticky off with like a glass cleaner, like Windoline and a paper towel. I mean, you can imagine how effective that was. I mean, this poor chap was scrubbing like crazy to try and get the sellotape off. Bear with me, I just need to flip over because I'm at the end of the thread here. I'm not going to zoom out. All I'm going to do is just tuck the thread in the back behind a few stitches. That's what I do to finish off, nothing fancy. Actually, do you know what? I will back it up because I'll show you how I start a thread if I can. Hello, bare legs. I've got my shorts on. I don't know whether or not I can zoom out enough to show you, to be fair. So yeah, he's scrubbing away like crazy, trying to get all of this residue off. and clearly it's not coming off, and the paper towel is then sticking to the residue and making even more of a smeary mess. So at which point I then go back around to the site and say, look, you're going to have to, somebody's going to have to come and get all of this off my window. This is absolutely disgraceful. So they sent the on-site jet washing people around, and they literally blitzed it all of the decking and just made it look like new again. So it did look actually really good by the time we'd left. I'm just marking off this row I've just done. So it did look okay by the time we'd left. They got all of the stuff off. I made sure the guys who were doing it, you're not going to be able to see it all. I just do this with a standard lasso method. So kind of loop the thread underneath and capture it the way I've always done. Nothing exciting at all. Let me zoom you back in. If you've watched any of the other Stitch With Me's when I've worked on this piece, you've seen me do just that anyway. Let me just wait for it to focus. Hello, focus. There we go, that should be a little bit better, I think. You might be able to see what I'm doing, perhaps. So yeah, they came and got all of the rubbish off the van, and then told me basically I couldn't put for sale signs up. I mean, I know for a fact that over the years that I've been there, multiple people have done it. They told me had it not been for the site manager, they would have probably left it alone. I don't know whether they would or they wouldn't. And that I should advertise it on, you know, the sites that I've been advertising it on, and they also showed me how to build a Facebook page, which, to be honest, I haven't even got round to doing yet. It's just, I don't know, it will be incredibly difficult to sell it via social media. The only interest that I'd had, not surprisingly, was from visitors to the site. I mean, the van, you've seen pictures of it anyway, and I'll put a couple in for you, is quite spectacular. It's stunning. It really, really is. And the price I'm selling it for is really, really good. You know, I'm not making profit on it. I'm not making any money. I just want to, I don't know, I just wanted to sell it. But I think it's going to be a tougher thing to do than I ever thought possible, to be honest, because if you can't advertise it on site, which is where you've got the capture, you know, the captive audience, then it makes it really difficult. So I have been getting myself across quite a lot of late, which has been actually quite good fun. I've enjoyed the time I've spent over there, so it's been okay. I mean, obviously I'm not there this weekend because I don't feel so good, but I have been getting more use out of it, and I'm just feeling a bit more relaxed and at home there than I have of late. So I'm going to see how I go with it. I'm going to keep it advertised on the sites that it already is. They're free, so it doesn't matter. And if there's any interest in it, then that's absolutely fine. But, you know, the issue is it's all well and good whilst, you know, you want it, but the minute you try to sell it, that's where you have difficulties. And these things depreciate faster than cars do. So I don't know what the lady who's, hang on a minute, my Google's just got very interested. Oh, Daisy's just knocked the TV on, that's what she's done. Let me just knock that off. She's just come behind me and knocked the TV on. I don't know what this lady who passed the comments is buying, if it's a new van, it's a used van. But even so, they depreciate really quickly. And yeah, and then, you know, you've got the option of giving it to trade, which is basically the biggest insult you'll ever experience in your life for a van that is, with mine, I bought it new, I barely used it, and then the price they would offer you, it wouldn't even cover the loan. So it depends what you're wanting. I mean, have I calmed down and relaxed about the whole thing now? Yes, I have. Am I likely to keep it? More than likely for now, just because the site are making it so difficult for me to sell. The managers and the salespeople there are very, very transient. I'll just probably wait until the manager moves on, because we've had as many managers as many years I've been on the site, so they do tend to move around quite quickly. And I think you know, I'll just wait for the next batch to come and see how I fare against those. But, you know, I think it's a case of you pick your battles, and this is not necessarily a battle that I can win. So yeah, interesting times it has been. But, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? So I had a particularly stressful time. Obviously, I've been meaning to record it, and I suppose for me, I just probably needed to wait to the point where I was feeling a bit more pragmatic about it, able to take the emotion out of the situation, to have a conversation that wasn't angry and upset. You know, it's easy to lose it when you're on a back foot, which you are very much with those. So if anybody's ever thinking about getting a static van, you know, really think about it. Take the paperwork to a solicitor, because you end up paying a lot of money for something that actually you don't really own. And the thing is, what are you going to do with a static van? So say you come off the site and you fall off with the site and they throw you off the site. What are you going to do with it? Do you know what I mean? It's not like you could, like, put it in your, I don't know, in your garden or something, is it? I mean, these are pretty big objects. Do you know what I mean? It's like mine's, was it 12 foot by 30 foot long? It's not like I could park it on my driveway and I don't know. It's just, you need somewhere to put them. But yeah, interesting times it has been for me with that. So suffice to say, you're probably seeing a few more videos coming from over there over the summer. As I said, I'm not there this weekend, but I will be heading across next weekend. I think just trying to get over at least 2 to 3 times a month, and then the other weekend is more kind of home based. I've got housework to do today as well as stitching, but I just wanted to update you as far as the static went. I'm just going to blow my nose. I'm just going to pause the video and just blow my nose, because I'm so aware that I'm getting more and more congested as I talk to you. Bear with me. There we go, that's a little bit better. So I was going to explain to you about my self-inflicted cold bug. So we had a company-wide meeting last Monday, Tuesday, so it was a big celebration event. We achieved a major milestone in terms of what we do as an organisation, and the company wanted to reward us. So they took us to a big meeting down in central London, which was really easy for me to get to on the train. It's only 2 hours 20 from where I live to get into central London, which is perfect. Felt great all Monday, and then they took us on quite a spectacular evening. So they booked the Natural History Museum for us for our dinner event on the night, which was amazing. I mean, I've been to the Natural History Museum as a visitor, probably 4 times in the times that, in the times that I've gone to London. I think I've visited about 4 times and always loved it. It's a spectacular building to start with, and obviously for those of you who know of it or have been, like the central atrium is quite spectacular. Normally they have a full-blown strung Diplodocus hung, but Dippy is on tour at the moment. He's actually up in Newcastle, not that far away from me at the minute. So they'd hung this massive whalebone from the ceiling. I'll put in a couple of pictures of that for you so you can see what that looked like. But it was just, when something is just unbelievable, and the way they'd done it was spectacular. It was black tie event, so I got a new dress, and it was just amazing. Now, I don't drink particularly. I don't drink in the house anymore. Obviously, I've been on this weight loss diet thing, and then even prior to that, I just don't drink because, as you know, I suffer with migraines quite badly, and any day that I'm migraine free for me is a bonus, because migraines feel very much like a bad hangover, You know, the day after where you're just exhausted, wiped out. You feel as though you've had so much electricity going, like electrical activity going on in your brain, like your brain's just tired. And it's the same feeling as a hangover with the nausea, the dizziness, the tiredness. So I just stay away from, you know, evil alcohol. Sorry, there's a bit of noise. People shouting in the street. It's quite a fine day today, so I've got part of the bifolds open and obviously there's a bit of noise coming. But yeah, so as I said, I don't drink. Monday night, I drank like a monster, and I don't know quite what it was about it. I think it was just the excitement of the event, the fact I had obviously my team with me, and I've done a bit of team rebuilding of late, so I'm so satisfied with the guys who are working for me. You know, when you're just so unbelievably happy with your job, and sometimes it's crazy, well, most of the time it's crazy and crazily busy, but in the grand scheme of things, I actually love my job. I love what I do. And you know, when you look around your team, you're just like, oh, I love you guys. I mean, I didn't tell them that obviously, but I was just so proud of them all, and I got really caught up in the moment. And they kept filling our glasses. Now, normally our company's quite reserved when it comes to how much alcohol you're given. So they gave us like a wristband which had tokens on for 4 drinks at the bar, which I never even had to use. It was just unbelievable. And they just kept topping up our glasses with Prosecco. Then there was white wine at the table. The food was okay, but there wasn't a lot of it. So you know, when there's not a lot to mop up the serious amount of alcohol that you're drinking. And obviously with me not drinking for a long time, it went straight to my head. And I mean, I was in control of my faculties, let's just say. But oh gosh, I mean, it was crazy. And then they had a Freddie Mercury tribute band on, a Queen tribute band, which were just spectacular. So I was giving it like proper large on the dance floor. Like literally the arms were going. I mean, I am quite a big Queen fan, so obviously I knew most of the words, and to say I gave it large is an understatement. And then obviously I didn't use my tokens, but what I did do, which is absolutely disgusting and something that I would never normally do, and I don't know why I did it, I started minesweeping the table. And for those of you who know what that is, you'd be chuckling away now, but that means going back to the table where you sat and finishing other people's drinks at the table. So I kind of worked my way around those that had been drinking white wine at the table, which is horrendous. I should have just used my vouchers on my wristband, shouldn't I, if I could have been bothered to go to the bar. And obviously there was probably people in and around who'd perhaps had colds, and obviously I'm drinking out of their glass. Honestly, just don't judge me. It's one of those moments of weakness. And then I went back on the dance floor. By this point, I am probably about as drunk as I have been in a long time, but I was in a happy place. I was a happy drunk at this point. And then I ended up on the dance floor with somebody who I've known within our industry for many years. We used to be part of the same team, and then we ended up working for different companies, and then together on the product that we sell. And we were just dancing and kind of reminiscing a little bit, and we spoke then about a friend of ours who had been a team member with us. And this particular lady had been a really good friend to us both. You know, she was really supportive of me. Just a great girl. And she then emigrated to New Zealand and messaged me on my birthday. This was the last contact I'd had with her. She'd messaged me on my birthday hoping I had a good one, and I messaged back with her. At this point, she'd been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which is obviously cancer of the blood. And she seemed to be doing okay. She was having a lot of sort of stem cell work done, a lot of infusions, and she, you know, she was remaining really, really positive at this point about everything. And we were just chatting about her, and I said, oh gosh, I need to message her back. I mean, I didn't see her the last time she was in the UK. We just never got to meet up. It was one of those, she's been over a couple of times and we've always found time to go for dinner. I'm just going to flip this over and fasten it off underneath. And I remember saying to this chap, oh, you know, I need to message her back. I need to find out how she's getting on. Sorry, and when she's coming back to the UK, at which point he then told me that she was dead. And you know, when you're just so taken aback that one of your good friends has died and you didn't even know it. I mean, I'm terrible for Facebook and social media. I'm just horrific, and I do try to respond to comments, but time just moves so quickly, doesn't it? And then I realise, you know, I haven't even responded to the comments on my last cross-stitch update, and I've just noticed somebody's messaged me on my Facebook page, and I just don't have a lot of time for it. But oh gosh, just the shock of finding out that she was gone. She died 3 weeks ago and I didn't even know. And had I been on social media and keeping an eye on things, I would have known, and I didn't. And you know, when you just, something just wallops you, and the next thing, I'm absolutely breaking my heart in the middle of the dance floor, crying, at which point I'm escorted off. And you know, one of my other good friends who knew her also sort of came to like kind of support me, and I'm like, I didn't know she died. We'd been talking about her earlier on, and my friend was like, oh, I just assumed you knew, that's why I didn't say anything. And oh, it just, you know, when something just puts things in perspective for you, and life is just so short, and our time here is just so minute. And oh, I don't know, it was just one of those more like sobering, gosh, it was just awful. I mean, even thinking about it now, I'm just still can't get my head around the fact that this wonderful person is no longer here. And it's somebody who we spent, you know, a lot of time with. I stayed at a house a few times, and you know, we weren't best friends, but we were quite close, I would say. At one point we were pretty close, and I didn't even know she died. So at this point we get on the bus that takes us back to the hotel that we're staying in central London, and my friend says, right, okay, then you need a drink, you know, to kind of calm you down a little bit, and you know, sort of, yeah, literally to calm me down, because I was seriously upset. I don't know how much of the alcohol had caused the reaction. I mean, I would have got upset regardless, but obviously I was really upset. So we then went to the bar, and you know, she bought me a porn star martini. Has anybody ever had a porn star martini? Oh my God, they're like the best thing in the world. I tell you what, I think I found my new favourite drink. So she bought me a porn star martini, and then I found some other colleagues in the bar at that point who then decided they were going to buy me a Sambuca and a gin. So I'd had Prosecco, white wine, porn star martini, Sambuca, gin. And then one of the other managers said to us, oh, come on, let's go. Because at this point, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I can't do a late night either. I'm just terrible with late nights. So he said, oh, come on, we'll have a couple of drinks, you know, back at mine. So about 7 of us then piled back to this chap's room. So we're all sitting on the bed, kind of half soaked, half sozzled, you know, reminiscing and just generally chatting. A couple of the guys were getting more and more drunk. One of them had lost the power of speech and was communicating by finger pointing and general grunts, which was hilarious. Had just a tiny bit of red wine, but it was just the company. I think at that point it was exactly what I needed. And then it got to pretty much 5 o'clock in the morning, and I knew I needed to be up at 7, so I'm still feeling quite tipsy. Went back to my room, got into bed for a couple of hours, my alarm went off, and then the following day, up until lunchtime, I was just vile. Absolutely vile. I think I was still drunk when I went down for breakfast. I know I was still drunk. I hadn't even sobered up. 2 hours sleep after alcohol is not enough for anybody to sober up. So I know until lunchtime I was still drunk. And oh dear, I feel so embarrassed telling you because I don't drink. Really don't, honestly. But I don't know what flipped my switch that night, but it did. So obviously minesweeping the table for drinks, and then having no sleep on Monday night. Quite a busy day on the Tuesday, obviously travelling home Tuesday. You know, I did have an early night on Tuesday night, but then I was leading on quite a serious teleconference on the Wednesday morning, so I was leading, I was in charge of it, so I had to be up early to prep for that. And then obviously it's been a week of work, so I just don't feel as though I've really had a chance to recover. So obviously the late night, on top of probably picking up multiple bugs, whether that was from the drink glasses or from, you know, people just being unwell and the aircon, you know what it's like in a hotel, you tend to pick up bugs. So yeah, I've not felt my very best all week. So the bike has suffered somewhat, my Peloton bike. I've been able to do shorter rides, not the long ones. I'm in the midst of a challenge for this month that I'm hoping I can achieve my gold badge for, because, you know, I've got to do a certain amount of miles in a month for it. So I'm really hoping I'll be able to get literally back on that next week properly and do some of the longer rides to get my mileage up. But yeah, it's not been great. So yes, I don't feel sorry for me. It's all completely self-inflicted. I should have not drank so much and got myself to bed at a reasonable time, and then being able to function properly the next day. Because the next day at the meeting, it wasn't work. They had us doing an activity where we had to build like a car, but it was a big car, obviously, with a full-blown chassis we had to build, and there was nuts, bolts, screws. Now normally, coming from an orthopaedic nursey background and doing the previous job I did, I would have been all over that. I couldn't even look at the stuff. You know, when you're just that hungover, all you can do is just sit on the floor and stare like a vacant person into oblivion, praying, you know, for death, to be honest. And that's how ill I felt. So yeah, that's been my week of exploits. So yeah, a caravan story and a week of exploits. So yeah, so I'm hoping that by next week I'm starting to feel a little less nasally and a bit more like myself. It takes longer to recover the older you get, I'm finding. I used to be able to like snap out of a hangover very, very quickly, but you know, it's taken the best part of a week, or being the fact I've had a cold as well. It's not helped. So yeah, I've had a bit more of a relaxing weekend. It was a really nice sunny day here yesterday in the UK. Today, I mean, it's still not bad here. It's still fairly mild, but we are expecting severe storms for the next couple of days. Oh, it's just bonkers what the climate change is doing to our weather at the moment, and I don't see it abating anytime soon. But there's, oh, what did I call it on the, I was reading something this morning before I got up, a weather bomb. I mean, we had snow bombs at winter. We've now got a severe weather storm bomb coming. It's just like, oh, I don't know where these meteorologists think up this terminology, but apparently there's going to be lots of flash floods, thunderstorms, lightning. It's an amber warning all across the UK, meaning there is a threat to life. So I guess we should heed it accordingly and see what happens. But at the minute, it's not too bad. It's okay. Not as warm as it was yesterday, but then we haven't really had the warm weather. So the floss tubers who clearly live down south and who are on their thing, on their updates and stuff, saying how warm it is. I'm very jealous because we're clearly not having the same weather here in the north, which is a bit of a shame. But other than my snivelly nose, health-wise I'm doing really well. I've lost a little bit more weight since we last spoke. Obviously it's coming off incredibly slowly now because I am at my target weight. But all in all, I have lost 25 pounds, which is not far off 2 stones, which is great. I have got lower than I thought I would get. I sort of had an idea in my mind of the ideal I'd like to get to before I stopped trying to lose weight, and I'm about there now. That means I've lost 2 dress sizes, so I've gone from a UK 14 down to a UK 10. I'm trying to think what that is US size. Let me find out, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it's a US 10, 8, it's a US 8 that I've got down to. So it's a UK 10, a US 8. And yeah, no, it feels very nice to have got down to that size, and obviously I do feel a lot better in myself. Obviously I'm eating well. Apart from this cold, which as I said is self-inflicted, I've been generally very well, feeling really strong, which is great, and just generally, I don't know, a lot happier in myself. It's quite funny when I look at my larger clothes sizes, I can wrap them around me. I will show you at some point on the bigger trouser sizes that, you know, at one point were quite small and you know, quite tight on me to where I've got to. I'm really proud of myself. It's taken, you know, a few months to achieve it, and I didn't want to do a crash diet, which I've not done at all. I've done Weight Watchers and eaten healthily, cooked from fresh, and just, yeah, I've just been very mindful of some of the things I eat. Obviously with my job, I travel a lot and I'm out during the day, so I've just made a lot, you know, more sensible choices about what I would eat. And do I need those fries with my sandwich? No, I don't. Do I need a sandwich? No, I don't. Let me go for the most healthy option. I know, let me have a salad. And just making sensible choices with food and just being very aware of what I put in my mouth. I don't buy chocolates anymore. I used to go through chocolates, sweets. I stopped buying them because they're all like insidious hidden calories that you don't even think to count at the end of the day. But I was at the point where I wasn't burning off nearly anywhere near the amount of calories I was consuming, hence the weight gain, which was done over a long period of time. It wasn't that all of a sudden I ballooned. It was just a gradual increase over a number of years. And the job I do is very sedentary as well. I obviously drive around to meet the people who I'm with, and I get driven to wherever we're going. We do walk around, you know, hospitals and things like that from department to department on our day-to-day work, but I wouldn't say I do thousands of steps a day. But that's healthy eating along with the exercise, so the Peloton bike and the, you know, general exercise, because obviously the app gives you running. I have a treadmill I run, and all of that malarkey has just helped so much. It's been so good. It's what's kept me motivated. And as I said, even though I've been not feeling great this week, I still wanted to get on the bike, and albeit it's not for a long ride, I've been doing some 20-minute rides just to keep myself in, because I miss it when I don't do it, and I feel guilty when I don't do it, which is good for me, and it's making me do it. So yeah, I didn't think I was going to ride last night, for example. Yesterday I didn't think I was going to ride. I had like congested head, and it got to about 10 o'clock and I'm feeling okay, and I thought, right, do you know what, I'm getting on there and I'm doing 20 minutes. So at 10 o'clock last night I was on my Peloton bike, went and got in the shower, stitched for another hour, and then went to bed. So, you know, I'm kind of making it work for myself. But yeah, so my planning permission and building regs have come through for the garage conversion that I want to do, to put my gym in there so I can regain my bedroom upstairs. So I'll show you that as and when it happens. I'm planning on probably starting that in the next couple of weeks or so. so I'll keep you updated in terms of where I get to with that, and creating my gym area, which will be nice because up in that room upstairs everything's jumbled up. I don't really have very good access to it, and that room actually is one of the warmest bedrooms in the house, so I want it for me, especially for the winter, so it'll be good to get that back. But that is about it. I mean, life is generally good. Busy as always, but very good. And yeah, no, I'm loving life, and yeah, I suppose just feeling very grateful and thankful, you know, in light of the events of this week and finding out the horrible news. You know, just feeling very grateful that, you know, for everything I've got and for life in general. So at this point, I'm going to love you and leave you. My Kindle's just crashed, which is a good point to stop this. But I am going to do a little bit of housework now, and then come back to this page over here and do a little bit more on, and watch more of the series I've been watching. So there's a new Netflix series, I don't know if any of you have seen it yet or seen it advertised. It's called What If. It's got Renee Zellweger in it, looking incredibly trim and gorgeous. So she's one of the lead characters in it. It's quite fitting in terms of, you know, what I do for a living. So it's quite interesting from that perspective. Not that it's sort of true to life in any shape or form whatsoever, but obviously kind of this content got me interested, and obviously still have no idea where it's going yet, but it's a really good sort of thriller if you like that kind of thing. So I'm very much enjoying that. Probably going to finish that today. I started it on Friday, so I think I'll probably finish it today, and yeah, just do a bit of houseworky stuff. So with that, I'm going to go and get this uploaded for you guys. I hope you don't mind me dribbling on, because I feel as though that's what I've done for however long it's been. But I will catch you soon in my monthly update, if not before. So you all take care. Lots of love. Bye.